What's going on, YouTube? I just wanted to come on here and make a quick video on how Alex Hormozi was right and how I lost $12,000 plus a lot of time by having my attention diverted and not focusing on my business. So for those of you that don't know, my name is Ben. I own a landscape construction company out of Buffalo, New York. We specialize in paver patios, outdoor living spaces, retaining walls, that kind of thing. And I follow Alex Hormozi pretty closely. I follow him on Instagram, watch some of his YouTubes, that kind of thing. And the one thing that he always touches on, or the one thing that at least I took away from a lot of his videos, is that you should focus on your one business until that business makes money and you're a professional in it. So this is going to be kind of a quick story on how I didn't do that, and how it cost me a lot of money and it cost me a lot of time. So back in 2022, this was my second year in business, and long story short, we did a good amount of work, but I didn't make any money profit wise. I thought I was doing okay, but I wasn't tracking my numbers. And when the end of the season came around, I only had a couple grand in my bank account and a lot of credit card debt. I think I had probably $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 worth of credit card debt. And for those of you that don't know, Buffalo, our winters are brutal. And at the time, I wasn't doing snow removal, so I had no way to make money over the winter because landscaping shuts down basically from November, December until March. So the end of the year comes around, I still have equipment payments I'm making, still have payroll towards the end of the year. We didn't have a ton of jobs, and I didn't have a ton of profitable jobs by the end of the year. But basically December, January comes around, I've got $5,000-$6,000 of the credit card debt. I have no money in my bank account whatsoever, no way to make money, or so I thought. And my dumbass thought it would be a wise decision to start a new business with one of my friends at the time. And basically the business was hotshot trucking or towing cars, that kind of thing. So I thought it was an easy way to start another business real quick and make some money on the side, and I thought it was going to be the answer to all my problems. And basically, me and my business partner, we get the truck, we get the trailer, all the equipment we need, DOT certifications, hut stickers, all that crap. And we sank a lot of money into it, or he sank a lot of money into it, because the agreement at the time was, since I didn't have any money, he would front all of the capital to get the business going, and then I would just put in like sweat equity basically. So I would put in a good amount of the time to actually run the business and make money. So we started doing our thing. We got all of our equipment set up, took a long ass time, got all of our certifications, and a couple months goes by, we're doing this. I'm not thinking about landscaping whatsoever. I'm just focused on this business. I got nothing to do over the winter. And we come to find out that there's really not a lot of money in trucking. And if you're one of those guys that runs like a truck and a 3-car setup and that kind of thing, you can make money. But when it's you, a business partner, and a driver, 3 separate people, there's not enough profit for it to be even worth your while. And we didn't make any profit, period. So a couple months goes by, and my friend gives me his word that, you know, he's fronting all the capital, I'm putting in the sweat equity, that kind of thing. A couple months goes by, we figure out that the business isn't making any money, and we've sunk probably $25K into it that we're not getting back out. So, you know, after buying the truck and the trailer and that kind of thing, we figured out that our loss was going to be 25 grand. And that didn't sit well with my business partner at the time, even though we had a verbal agreement that he was going to front all the capital and take the risk, like, financially. So my dumbass didn't have a contract, and then me and him both mutually agreed to cut our losses there and pull out of the business. And come to find out, he screwed me, and I was gonna have to pony up half of the money for the failed business, because in his mind he thought it was correct, or he thought it was right that I, paid half of the loss, even though that wasn't what we agreed to. I can make a whole separate video on that. That's not gonna be the focus of this. But basically, the business ended up costing me about $12,000 out of pocket, and that doesn't account for opportunity cost, because at the time I thought there was nothing I could do over the winter landscaping wise to make money, because it was too late to do snow plowing, and my attention was diverted from my landscape company. I didn't do any sales over the winter, didn't follow up with any customers, any previous biz I sent out, that kind of thing. And I spent a lot of time on this thing. Like 2 to 3 months, I was putting in a solid 20, 30 hours a week. And I know that doesn't sound like much, but I was also a student at the time. I'm still a student now. So it was a good chunk of time. For 2 to 3 months, I was spending on finding cars, organizing loads, making the trip, collecting checks, customer service, that kind of thing. And it was way more work than we both anticipated, honestly, going into it. And basically, I was forced to cough up half of the loss, which I didn't know it at the time. It was bullshit. I could have told him to go to hell and it would have made a difference. But anyways, I pay him the money over the course of like a few months, because I literally had no money to my name. And that was a pretty low point that winter during my life. It was like 2 to 3 months, $5,000-$6,000 worth of credit card debt, and I just tacked on another $12,000 in business debt that I was forced to pay back. And the whole point of me telling you guys this story is, it doesn't matter what business you're in, home service, whatever, landscaping, HVAC, electrical, whatever the hell you do, you want to focus on that one business until you know it inside and out. You're an expert at sales, you're an expert at managing employees, getting jobs, contracts, ordering materials, organizing job sites, like basically everything. And that was the mistake I made. And I know a lot of you guys have probably heard Hormozi's story about that, like, focusing on one thing, but I see it a lot in other landscapers that I know on Facebook, or I know personally, that kind of thing. They're like, oh, I'm a landscaper, but we do power washing on the side, and gutter clean outs, and this and blah, blah, blah over the winter, whatever. And most of them aren't successful at anything. Most of them are mediocre at the different things they do in their business, and they're not an expert in one, which is the mistake they made, and this is the mistake I made. Mine was a little bit different, because I've always been focused on landscaping, but that winter in particular, I wasn't. And looking back on it now, if I didn't get into that business at all, the tow business, and I just focused on making sales over the winter, selling jobs in advance, and collecting deposit checks just to help pay my bills, I would have been in a much different situation that winter. And I don't regret it happening. I'm much wiser because of it, and I'm glad it happened. Got a lot of experience in that situation. But looking back on it, I could have done things a lot differently. And it is what it is. That's part of business, it's part of life, part of being a man, part of learning, that kind of thing. So I just wanted to kind of make this video to kind of share. That's just one of the stories I got, at least from when I was starting my company. And the way I got myself out of that winter was, I was so desperate by the end of the winter. I needed to pay my credit card bills. Like, my FICO was going in the toilet. I couldn't pay my equipment loans, that kind of thing, because I had no money left over. It got to the point where I started messaging all of my customers out of sheer desperation if they had anything on their property that I could do whatsoever. Like, freaking gutter cleaning, window washing, trimming trees, cutting down trees, that kind of thing. And what ended up happening was, in about a week or two, I was able to make around $4,000 by removing trees at some of my customers' property just with like a chainsaw, you know, cutting them down, grinding up the stumps. I rented a stump grinder from Home Depot, and I was able to make around most of the credit card debt back. And it only took me like 2 weeks of like actually trying, and that's when the light bulb went off in my head, and I was like, holy shit, if I never even got into that business and wasted the time and the money and everything, I could have just done that all winter long, made all of the money back to pay off the credit cards and been in the green. But I thought the solution was starting a new business, and turns out it wasn't. So yeah, that's pretty much just a quick story on, you know, that was the winter of 22 going into 23, and there's a bunch of other shit that happened that winter too, but I can make separate videos on those. But this is just a reminder to you, if your business, in my particular case landscaping, if your landscaping or home service business is failing and you're not making money, the solution is not to go off and do something else in the meantime or try to make money different ways. The solution is to think outside the box and master your business and fix your business. Hormozi talks about the analogy of your business is a bucket full of water and you got holes in it, and basically your job is, instead of getting other buckets and filling them up with water and your attention, you need to plug the holes in your main bucket, which represents your main business. And once you can plug the holes in that bucket, you'll be successful and you'll start to make more money. And then once that bucket starts overflowing from the top, not from the sides, then you start another business when that one's successful. So that's kind of like the whole lesson here. I feel like too, a lot of those online guru influencers or whatever make those, you know, not analogies. They make those statements like work on one business till it succeeds. They have experience, but the audience doesn't have experience, and they just think like, oh, you know, or they just think like, oh, I don't have to, you know, I can just go off of his experience. I don't need my own. And in my opinion, that was one of the experiences that you really have to learn the hard way. So I just wanted to share with you guys. If anybody's had a similar experience, you know, drop a comment, let me know. Or if you want, I'll put my Instagram in the bio or something. If you want to DM me on Instagram, be happy to talk to you. But yeah, gonna be making some more content this year on landscaping, stories, that kind of thing. So if you guys like this, leave a like, subscribe, all that good shit. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one.